She was the perfect child. Sorry. Good evening. Sorry we got started just a little bit late. Welcome to the Castleberry ISD Candidates Forum. Tonight's Candidates Forum is part of our ongoing voter education efforts to help voters make informed decisions at the upcoming school board election. We hope that over the course of this forum, you will learn more about the candidates and what their views are on public education and how it relates to the vision of Castleberry ISD. My name is Dave Bierce, and I will be tonight's moderator. I will start by explaining some procedures for the forum which each candidate received ahead of time. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to introduce themselves in an opening statement, 3 minutes for a closing statement, and 2 minutes for each general and audience question. Opening and closing statements will be done in the order based on how the names on the ballot will be listed. You are encouraged to submit questions for the candidates on the provided cards located on the tables as you enter the auditorium. They look like this. Questions must be addressed to all candidates and must apply to school-related issues or school board candidate qualifications. Raise your hand and someone will be there to collect your question. Mr. Robert Cantu is our timekeeper. You need to turn around and wave at everybody. He is sitting right below the stage. When there are 30 seconds left on the timer, the timekeeper will hold up the yellow card, indicating that each candidate has 30 seconds to finish their answer. At 10 seconds, the timekeeper will hold up an orange card that says 10 seconds. Each candidate will 10 seconds. Each candidate will wrap up when they see the red stop card. If the candidate continues to speak after the stop card is held up, a buzzer will sound, and the moderator will state thank you and move on to the next speaker. Personal references about other candidates are out of order. Please note that the forum will be live streamed on the district's YouTube account. If you haven't done this, please silence your cell phones and watches. Now, I've done this 5 times. I think this is my 5th time doing this. This is the first time I've had to say silence your watches. We request that you treat each candidate fairly. Please remain quiet throughout the forum. Please no clapping, cheering, or calling out, with the exception of after all the closing statements, in which you may clap for all the candidates if you wish. No campaign literature or signs are allowed in the room. Raise your hand if you still need your question collected. The school board elections officer and staff will review each question for legibility, clarity, acceptability, and to eliminate duplicate questions. I will read as many questions as time allows, and similar questions will be combined and prioritized, striving to cover a variety of topics. Now we will begin the candidates forum with opening statements. As a reminder, each candidate has 2 minutes for the opening statement. Ms. Janice Carrell, please introduce yourself and explain why you make a great school board member in Castleberry ISD.
My name is Janice Carrell. I have been a member of this community for over 20 years. I've been happily married to my husband, Sean, for 19 years, who is a Castleberry graduate. We have 2 sons and 2 daughter-in-laws who are also Castleberry graduates, and we have our Leah, who is in 6th grade at Irma Marsh Middle School. As a parent and guardian of CISD students, I have always invested my time whenever a need arises. I am also a member of a local church with our family. I'm very interested in where CISD is heading now and what is happening now and will shape its future of the ISD. I attend almost every board meeting since January of 2024, and through my attendance at board meetings, I have expanded my knowledge on how the board works effectively with the superintendent to help use our resources to promote the academic achievement and overall success of all of our students in the district.
Thank you. Mr. Robles, what do you feel are the greatest, Mr. Robles, please introduce yourself and explain why you make a great school board member in Castleberry ISD.
Thank you. Howdy. It's a full circle moment to be here right now on the middle school stage, where I was on student council, one act play, band, so it's a full circle moment, and I'm thankful for all the educators that have helped me get to where I am at now. So if I haven't had the pleasure of meeting y'all yet, my name is Kevin Robles. I am a proud CHS alumni, class of 2017. I am a Texas A&M grad of 2021, Giga Mags. And then I'm also getting my MBA right now with about 2 semesters left to finish up my MBA, so go Frogs on that. But more importantly, I'm here to serve the community that has raised me. I know it takes a village to raise children. I know it takes a village to be able to make successful stories in our community. A little bit about my experience. I've led large teams, managed multi-million-dollar budgets, and have worked with the board of directors quite frankly right now. I currently serve as an executive HR leader for the nonprofit, working directly with the board of directors of different community leaders in North Texas. But I say that because I know how board governance works, and I'm familiar with board work. I'm running because CISD deserves a bold, forward-thinking, innovative leader. We deserve somebody that's going to stand up for our students, stand up for our educators, and stand up for our community. I'm born and raised River Oaks. I am a proud Castleberry graduate, and this is personal to me. I want to be a voice for our members of our community, and I want to be a voice for all of our students. I know firsthand, my best friend's going to become a surgeon resident next month. I've seen bankers, I've seen lawyers, I've seen different professionals come out of Castleberry ISD, and I want to be there to support our students and support our community. Thank you.
Okay, now we start the general questions, and Mr. Robles, you get the first question. What do you feel are the greatest challenges public schools such as Castleberry ISD must overcome in the next few years? And reminder, you have 2 minutes.
Great, thank you. So I think a lot of schools in general, public education's been in the spotlight for some time now, right? A biggest thing that's going on right now is going to be public education funding. How are we getting that funding for our school districts? When budgets are tight, we see the impact everywhere. We're not just seeing that impact in the P&L. We're seeing that impact in our turnover and the infrastructure, the materials, and support services that are going on in our ISD. And I want to do a shout out to our CFO and our superintendent because they've been knocking out of the ballpark with our current finances right now. But how are we going to achieve and overcome some of the challenges that may come in the next coming years? Even though we know that we're not the only ISD experiencing this too. You see it through all the other ISDs in our local Region 11 community. As a community leader, we must step up and advocate. So not only advocating at that local level, advocating at that state level and at that federal level, right? We have to advocate. Our voice is our strongest battle to be able to make like a government officials concerned about what we're experiencing in our local communities. If we don't get the funding and we don't get that funding to the state level, you're seeing different different departments impacted, whether that's our football team, our fine arts team, any extracurricular activities, you're seeing it impacted. So as a leader and as a dedicated community member, I refuse to stand by and stand still for public education.
Thank you. Ms. Carrell, same question. What do you feel are the greatest challenges public schools such as Castleberry ISD must overcome in the next few years?
It's on. One of our greatest challenges is ensuring that each student receives a quality education. In order to do this, the board must deal with the ever-changing standards of STAR testing and the accountability rating that we hold, and how these impact the future of our students. Funding from the state hasn't increased since 2019, so we are maintaining a budget that doesn't allow for inflation and the rising cost of this difficult challenge. Funding alone impacts every aspect of a student's day and retaining quality teachers to maintain a quality environment.
Thank you. Now we're going to start the audience questions. We do have 35 minutes to do this, and I've got 12 questions. Each candidate will have a chance to answer. Ms. Carrell, there are 5 categories of responsibilities for school trustees in Texas. What are they? Please elaborate.
I don't know what the 5 responsibilities are according to the state of Texas, but I can tell you some of the things that I have learned being at the Board of Education meetings. One of them is to set a budget, to set a policy, to help the superintendent, most importantly, to attend meetings, and also our continuing education, which does start at 16 hours for our first year and goes up every year after that.
Thank you. Mr. Robles, same question. There are 5 categories of responsibilities for school trustees in Texas. What are they? Please elaborate.
I will piggyback off of Ms. Carrell as well. I know that board of directors are familiar with board governance, not getting too much in the day-to-day operations, setting that policy, setting that budget, making sure we're being fiscally responsible with the funds that we are doing for our school, and really just focusing on student success. As a community member and as a board member, we have to focus on student success. That's the end goal of a Castleberry, of a district, and of a board trustee. A board trustee is not meant to get into day-to-day operations, not meant to make decisions for the superintendent. It's to be an advisor, to be a community member, and to be a voice for our community.
Thank you. Mr. Robles, you have question number 2 first. Tell us about how you have volunteered for the district in the previous years.
Hello. How I have volunteered for the district in the previous years. Over the past couple of years, I've been involved, vaguely involved in the district. So I do want to do a shout out to my sister, who was recently got state for the final artwork just about 2 years ago. But I am involved in various ways, not directly impacted to the district, right? So in my current role, working for a nonprofit, we serve this community right now. We know the statistics of Castleberry ISD. I don't need to go over that it is an economically disadvantaged area. In my current nonprofit, we focus on serving the community and our backyard, quite frankly, whether it's through pantries or just making sure that our kids are ready to learn in our community.
Thank you. Ms. Carrell, same question. Tell us about how you have volunteered for the district in the previous years.
So since our boys are Castleberry graduates for over 20 years that I have been in this community, I have been part of the Band Booster Organization, the Athletic Booster Organization, the PTO, anything that the boys needed for school, we stepped up and we were there. Muffins with mom, donuts with dad, all the fun things. Since we obtained Leah in 2020, I have been part of the Trunk or Read for Joy James Elementary. I have been at family engagements nights when she attended Joy James. I have assisted in teacher appreciation meals. I'm part of the SHAC committee at Irma Marsh Middle School this year. I've attended multiple SBDM meetings and planning club meetings. I volunteered to chaperone field trips. And then also just outside of the school district in our church, our local church, I am part of Vacation Bible School, our fall festival, our marriage ministry, as well as our First Impressions team, which I believe all also serve the students and our community.
Thank you. Ms. Carrell, you have question number 3. School attendance is lower in the state. A number of schools are closing. What is the primary reason families should choose Castleberry to educate their students?
One of the reasons I would definitely say is because, speaking from experience, Castleberry ISD has never failed our family yet. With my husband being a graduate from there, our sons, our daughter-in-laws, and Leah on track to graduate soon, I just know how great the school district is. The boys have a ton of friends that they still keep in contact with, that are successful young adults that are nurses and doctors and trade workers. And Castleberry has never failed, so some of the things that I feel like we could do to just keep where we are is just to continue to advertise all the great things we have, all the facilities that we have, all the new things that we're coming up, and all the great things that Castleberry is doing.
Thank you. Mr. Robles, same question. School attendance is lower in the state. A number of schools are closing. What is the primary reason families should choose Castleberry to educate their students?
Absolutely. I think Castleberry's, quite frankly, the best kept secret in the area that we're in. We're not part of Fort Worth ISD. We're not about a big ISD. We're at about 4,000 students, right? Looking through our CTE programs, we have computer science, we have programming, we have teaching education, architecture classes. We have everything going on for our high school students in CTE. Not only that, but we're doing dual credit. We're doing AP. We're sending students out to college already before they're going out to college. That way they could get some college credit before going to college, which is amazing. On top of that, we offer so many great resources over at these schools. Our fine arts program, consistently, at the pep rally, we had the mariachis go to state. We had about 6 members go to state for art, and then we have soccer going to state too, the first Fort Worth. We have so much going on in our district, and there's so much to highlight and so much to be proud of, and that's why I'm so happy to be able to come back to my district and just continue to advocate and support for everything that Castleberry is doing. We're growing, and I'm sure many of us residents here have seen how much change has been going on in the past couple of years. People are moving to Texas left and right. Not only Texas, they're moving to Fort Worth. When they move to Fort Worth, they're moving to Castleberry. That's not only a great advantage for the school district, that's a great advantage for the city. It's an economic impact in that city, right? We can just continue to grow the city and continue to grow the district. It's a great city, best kept secret. That's what I have, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Robles, you have question number 4. Why do you think this is your time for school board? What does your experience bring to CISD at this time?
Why is it my time for school board? I love Castleberry ISD, born and raised. I've been super thankful and super blessed for all the experiences that I've been able to gather over the past couple of years through running multi-million-dollar budgets with my previous organizations to still running pretty large organizations and then working directly with the board of directors. So I serve on the executive team of a local nonprofit where I do participate in board meetings and board governance, networking with other community leaders in our North Texas area. And it really just intrigues me how impactful our work is in my current role. And then being able to come back and use all of that experience that I've learned through understanding the finances, understanding a strategic plan, understanding what the goals are of Castleberry ISD. It's my time. I've been a part of this executive team for over 2 years now. I know how a board works and what we should be focusing on. And I want to be there to support our superintendent. I want to be there to continue to drive success, drive those fine arts to continue going, advocate for CISD, and just be a good, active community citizen of River Oaks. Super proud of Castleberry. Like I said, I have so many pals that are just doing so well out there, and I think oftentimes it's just, like I said, a best kept secret. Thank you.
Ms. Carrell, same question. Why do you think this is your time for school board? What does your experience bring to CISD at this time?
I feel like my experience as I didn't graduate from Castleberry ISD, but all of our family did. Our big joke is that I should be an honorary line by now. But I really feel like my experience today just would help everybody. Like, I can see it from a parent point of view, a guardian point of view. I've assisted in classes, and I have I've been at school board meetings once again since January 2024. I've only missed 2 of them since then. And I have been active in the community. I assisted with the bond project that was last year, and I got to know that very well. I feel like understanding the budget, supporting our superintendent, and just being a united board is what helps me to bring the experience.
Thank you. Ms. Carrell, you have question number 5. This is a 2-part question. How will you build trust between the board, families, and the public? How will you help improve the educational curve for kids with disabilities, i.e. ADHD? Yes, ma'am. How will you build trust between the board, families, and the public? How can you help improve the educational curve for kids with disabilities, i.e. ADHD?
I feel like building trust between myself and the community is very easy, and it's by being in the community. One of the ways that the community can do that is to do what works best for their schedule. We have so many things that are available to the community. You can come to board meetings if they're not available. You can look at the agenda of the board meeting and see when something might pertain to you or interest you, and you can have your voice heard. Before every board meeting, there is an opportunity for communications from citizens to come forward and speak to the board and share their concerns with them, so they always have the option to do that. But I feel like one of the best ways to build trust with the community is to be in the community, to be at the LYSA games, to be at all the things that our children aren't part of, but that they're important to our community, to go to grand openings, to be part in businesses, and to just be in the community is the main way I feel like to build trust. As far as helping, I mean, with special ed programming in our school. I mean, the board we can pass things to help with that, but we're not really in the school district. Like, the board only governs and the superintendent manages. So we decide we help her decide, but she is the one who puts all those things in place. And while we can look at new things for ADHD and help to support that, that's about all the board can do. But we can definitely be open to those if the community knows of something. I think that one of the important ways for them to bring it to us is to come to a board meeting.
Thank you. Mr. Robles, same question, two-part question. How will you build trust between the board, families, and the public? How can you help improve the educational curve for kids with disabilities, i.e. ADHD?
Yeah, building trust is going to be super important in the community, right? As a board trustee, you are the face of the district, and you are building those relationships and being that active citizen and advocate for our community. So how do you do that? Well, one, going out to community events. One, being present in the community. Going to community games, going to public events, whether it's River Oaks public events, Sansom Park public events, or just Fort Worth events, right? Being out and being present in the community. Holding meetings and just asking questions of the community, what concerns them, and how can we continue to be a better advocate for our students. Now, in regards to improving, I believe it was SPED, like ADHD or disabilities, that would be something more along the lines of that day-to-day operation. So I would lean more on our administration team, leaning on who are those people specialized in that, and what are they going to recommend, and is that going to benefit our organization or our school, and how will we continue to drive student success. At the end of the day, you're going to have KPIs or key performance indicators to be able to identify what's going to be improved, right? So looking at ADHD, you're going to have some data right now that's going to be presented, and then whatever is recommended, being able to identify what KPIs or how can we improve and what's triggering the growth or negative growth or whatever that may be.
Thank you. Mr. Robles, question 6. What will you do to build the school board dynamics to be a distinguished board of education?
Hello? Okay, cool. Yeah, so to be able to build board dynamics and to be a distinguished board, it's really gonna still focus in on that one goal, student success, right? At the end of the day, we have to focus on what's gonna be best for our students and what's gonna be best for our community. So as a board, you'll need to understand what's that collective goal. How can we have open conversations, and how can we have that healthy conflict, right? Conflict isn't always a bad thing. We have to have conflict. If you're just going with the flow, eventually you're just going to do the same thing over and over again, right? So setting boundaries, setting goals, understanding what can we do, and I always call them seek to understands, right? If you don't understand what somebody's saying or you don't understand their point of view, have a seek to understand. Understand what their point of view is and where can y'all come to a common ground to continue to drive this goal forward, right? At the end of the day, student success is what we're looking for. We don't need to be arguing over something minute or whatever that may be. I just continue to have open communication, open trust, and have boundaries and healthy conflict.
Thank you. Ms. Carrell, same question. What will you do to build the school board dynamics to be a distinguished board of education?
I think that Kevin was absolutely right. Healthy conflict is very good for people, but working through that is even more important. So I think some of the ways that we could build a healthy board is to have more communication, and more communication where we all understand and seek the exact same thing, which is for our children and what's best for our school and for our community.
Thank you. Ms. Carrell, question 7. This is kind of long. Educating a student with a disability costs more money than educating a general ed student. This cost impacts the school budget. As a board member, how will you ensure that budget cuts do not come at the expense of students with disabilities?
Once again, as I stated earlier, since we are operating on a budget from 2019, that is very difficult for us as a school board, but as a school district. But for us, in order to do those things for special ed children and our special abilities children, we need to make sure that we have the teachers and the paras to help them and to educate them the best way that we can. So one of the ways that we can do that is we need to speak to our superintendent, and we need to come together as a board and see where other things can be done, so we can make sure that we're helping those students be successful just as all of our other students are.
Thank you. Mr. Robles, same question. Educating a student with a disability costs more money than educating a general ed student. This cost impacts the school budget. As a board member, how will you ensure that budget cuts do not come at the expense of students with disabilities?
Absolutely. Same thing. I mean, just because somebody has a disability, well, they're going to receive the same education. I am a big advocate for equity for all, making sure that every student has the same resources, same access, same education opportunities for all students in our community, regardless of their background or wherever they came from, right? How we can focus on ensuring that we're continuing that and making that is looking at that budget, right? We should be having quarterly meetings, reviewing that budget, understanding what are we spending money on, where can we cut, what line item can we cut, what line items are necessary, and what line items could be pushed off into another quarter or whatever that may look like, right? You have to look at the budget, right? Because we are not cutting education. Education's not being cut for any student at all. Where can we find the funding? And like I said earlier in my initial question, we have to continue to advocate. We can't just sit back and stay back and just stand still. No, that's not gonna happen. We have to continue to advocate at federal, state, and local levels to make sure that we get equitable funding for all of our schools and all of our students. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Robles. You have question number 8. As a board member, how will you ensure the compensation plan aligns with district data and goals?
Okay, cool. The way that we can ensure that the compensation plan is aligning with district data and goals is, well, one, you have to build out a compensation budget and make sure that we have the funding for that, right? But really, we're currently on a stepping schedule, right? Teachers get a percentage raise based on whatever that may be. The way that we can really ensure that is through TIA, Teacher Incentive Allotment, that is funded by the state of Texas, and we're expanding it even further into different programs this upcoming year. But ensuring that every teacher is getting correct T-tests, they're understanding what's going on, and that those teachers that are performing well and creating those exemplary recognized statuses are getting recognized properly and getting that TIA incentive. That's going to retain talent. Also, we need to also make sure that we're partnering those TIA students up, or not TIA students, TIA teachers up with teachers that may be underperforming or whatever that may be. That way we can continue to drive top performing education in our district and continue to drive retainment in our teachers and ensure that every teacher is compensated fairly. We all know teachers aren't compensated enough. That's a fact. But how can we get more teachers on TIA and more teachers to be supported better?
Thank you. Ms. Carrell, same question. As a board member, how will you ensure the compensation plan aligns with district data and goals?
So one of the ways we can make sure that the compensation plans aligns with our district data and goals is to have those laid out clearly for our teachers. One of the things that we do as a CISD in some of our schools is we have partner teachers. So like if a teacher has been here for a certain amount of time, they will take on a teacher who has just started with our district, and they will like help train them and go underneath them and do things that they are showing them how to do. We also have teacher stipends in our district. The longer that they have been here, they receive funds for that time.
Thank you. Ms. Carrell, next question. Question 9. Being new to the board, if you decide to move on after one term to dive deeper into politics or to move on to other ventures, how will you make sure your time with CISD is impactful and of value?
Once again, I think one of our biggest ways to make sure that our time, any time that we have at CISD is impactful and in value is to be in our community, to be at all the things that we can be at that our schedule allows. We all have busy lives, everyone works, everyone has other responsibilities, but to be involved in this community when it doesn't involve your own child is huge. Because other people always see you, and I think it has an impact on our children, which are our students, which is good for everyone. So I think the biggest way that I could make sure that I had an impact here was to do exactly what I set out to do.
Did I skip one? Yes. No. Okay. Same question. Being new to the board, if you decide to move on after one term to dive deeper into politics or to move on to other ventures, how would you make sure your time with CISD is impactful and of value?
CISD is my home. I mean, quite frankly, I literally went to college and then came back immediately. CISD is my home. I intend to come back to CISD and continue to give back to my community. Something that Texas A&M really instilled in me is selfless service and being able to give back to your community. I don't intend on just getting one term and then leaving the community. That's not me. I don't anticipate on ever leaving River Oaks, truthfully. We all see the growth and everything that's going in here. If anything, it's a good investment to be in here. You see all the home prices and everything going up. I don't intend on leaving Castleberry ISD. This is my community, and this is my home. It's done so much for me, all the way from kindergarten, all the way to senior year. It's done so much for my family, my brothers, my sisters. It's done everything for me. I will not continue. I will never just stop supporting Castleberry ISD. And there's so many ways to be able to support it. I mean, we just did a great job at this ISD gala that we had last week. There's so many ways to stay involved in the community and bring even more spotlight to the community as people grow.
Question number 10, Mr. Robles. What do you think the direction upper administration is doing? Do you feel administrative staff is following district guidelines and protocol?
Yes, so district admin, they obviously set the goals, they set the policies, they set the procedures, right? Is admin staff below them following that policy? That would be for Superintendent Ms. Faulkner to be able to really understand and ensure that she's following up with them, right? Because the way the board governance works, right, your top chief, eventually results are going to show if the admin staff's not following their policies or their procedures or whatever they may be. It's going to trickle down into the data. The data is going to show it eventually if there's a not following policies and procedures, right? So it's the administration's job and leadership's job to make sure that everybody's following protocol, everyone's following policy, because then if everybody's doing that, the results will show through educational testing and just data in general. So that's a more insight into administration, but yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Carrell, same question. What do you think the direction upper administration is doing? Do you feel administrative staff is following district guidelines and protocol?
I feel like as far as our district guidelines and protocol, I feel like that they are being followed, and we really are able to tell that in just, once again, our teacher retention and the teachers that continue to come back year after year after year and teach our children. I know that when we go back to Joy James, Leah and I, there are several teachers that are still there that were there, have been there since the beginning of her time. I know that even since our boys went here, there are still teachers here that have been here. So I really believe that admin and upper is doing their job.
Thank you. Question 11, Ms. Carrell. What is the most challenging issue facing our students today, and how, as a school board member, can you help address and solve that?
I think some of the most challenging issues facing our students today are, they're different, I think, across the board. For girls, I feel like they're different. For boys, I feel like they're different. Some of the biggest challenges with our kids in general is just, I know from personal experience, just having the support at home of a family that sits with them and spends time with them because parents work and things like that. So I feel like one of the ways that our ISD helps with that is the ACE program is a wonderful after-school program that does not get near enough credit. They are wonderful, and they take in our children. They help tutor them. They help do homework with them. They teach them all kinds of skills and things. And for parents who work outside the home, it's a great tool to utilize because you don't have to pick up your kid until 6. And if you work until 5 and you can't get here until 6, it's very convenient for you as a parent to utilize that free program that Castleberry ISD offers. Or even if you're just in our situation and your child just likes ACE, so she just comes because she wants to.
Thank you. Mr. Robles, same question. What is the most challenging issue facing our students today? And how, as a school board member, can you help address and solve that?
Yeah, absolutely. Similar to what Mrs. Carrell said, right? You have to have that family support at home. You have to have that. I'm a big believer in psychological, like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? Before we can actually start doing things, you have to have that food. You have to have that safety. You have to have that family, that relationship, that love. How are we supporting our students? What are our social workers in our schools doing? What community partners are we involved in? How can we continue to advance and grow those community partnerships to continue to support our students, right? There's so many opportunities out there to be able to support our students. We know it. We know every student comes from a different background. Some come from different races, ethnicities, income levels. Everybody comes from a different background and different culture. How can we continue to drive that success? If a student's not well-nourished, well-loved, or not getting the support they need, they're not going to thrive in school. That's a huge challenge that CISD is facing, right? If you're not getting that basic need, that basic food, that basic home life, that basic family, you're not going to be supported and you're not going to be set up to succeed. So how can we do that? Partner with community partners. Get involved in the community. Put a spotlight on Castleberry ISD. We're doing all these great things. How can we continue to be even bigger in the community and put our name out there? That way we have supporters that are in our community that want to help us, that want us to succeed, that want us to be successful in our community and continue to drive the student success out of senior years. That way they're doing whatever it may be, whether it's university life, trade school, or whatever that may be.
Thank you. Mr. Robles, question number 12, the last question. How will you ensure that all board decisions are guided by what's best for students and their long-term success?
Yes. Okay, cool. So goals have to be, goals are set at the beginning, right? You have to have that goal at the end, right? So a way for the board to really ensure that we're all on the same page and we're all in aligned is understanding what's the goal at the end of the day. Yes, I could say student success all day. I could say that all day long. But what are the metrics? What's the data showing? How can we continue to drive that growth and drive that innovation, right? So we need to better understand what the goal is, have that open communication with the board, understand what everybody has a different background. Even on the board, everybody's gonna have a different background. Everybody's gonna offer different resources, different ideas, different backgrounds. They're gonna be able to offer different advice or whatever that may be. But at the end of the day, we have to come to a decision that's for the students and always for the students. Always for the students, and student success is what I'll stop at. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Carrell. Question 12, last question. How will you ensure that all board decisions are guided by what's best for students and their long-term success?
I think that one of the ways that we can see what is best for our students and the long-term success of them is just with our continuing ed programs, our technical programs that we have in the high school. For those of you who currently don't have a student in Castleberry ISD, I am very thrilled that Leah is about to go into 7th grade, and for those of you who don't know, that is when our path starts to get them on the path to see what they want to do. So this path starts in 7th grade, so I, as a guardian, am so excited to get to do this next year with our Leah. So she starts in 7th grade, and it follows her all the way through 12th grade. So I believe in 7th grade, they are beginning to ensure the success of our students, and they are beginning to do that all the way through graduation.
Well, candidates, I was just handed 5 more questions. Timer, do we have time for 5 more questions or 4 more questions? 5 more minutes. Okay, Ms. Carrell, you have +1, because I told you that was the last question. Now it's +1. What is most integral about being elected for this seat is the educational environment the students and faculty have. How will you promote and instill the values of CISD during your term?
I think some of our biggest values at CISD are just community. And I think some of the easiest way to promote those things is to just to continue community events and continue community service. Like Kevin said earlier, we had a great gala the other night, and it was a lot of fun. We have several other fundraisers throughout the year that we do as an ISD that are a great time, and I think that part of it is just being out there.
Awesome. Mr. Robles, same question, if I can get it out. What is most integral about being elected for this seat is the educational environment the students and faculty have. How will you promote and instill the values of CISD during your term?
Yeah, absolutely. So, values of CISD, the vision, inspire, empower, innovate. How are we doing that, right? How can we continue to champion that, not only in the boardroom, not only in the classrooms? How do we champion it outside of the classrooms? What are we doing to be able to continue to drive student success in our community? So really understanding what does it mean to inspire? What are we doing for our students to making sure that they feel inspired to continue to go on to whatever they may be? How are we empowering our students, and how are we empowering our teachers? We have a teacher pipeline right now with several teachers that are getting their degrees to get to become a certified teacher. How do we continue to empower those teachers? How are we empowering students? And then how are we innovating? Everybody loves the new word innovate that's come out in the recent years, but innovation is such a huge critical thing, right? We can't just stay over and over again. We have to continue to innovate, continue to evolve, and continue to change, and continue to drive growth and success amongst our students. So as a board member and board trustee, I would be happy to continue to champion those values in our community, outside of our community, and in my professional life.
Do we have time for one more? Okay, that's it on the questions. Take a sigh of relief. Okay, now it's time for closing remarks. As a reminder, each candidate has 3 minutes for their closing remarks. Ms. Carrell, go ahead with your closing remarks.
I feel like as a member of this community for so long, I have a deep personal connection to our schools. I am excited to support our current leadership and stay informed by attendance of every board meeting about what's happening in our district. I understand the opportunities and responsibilities that come with serving on the board, and I'm ready to step up and give it my all. A vote for me is a vote for an informed, enthusiastic, hardworking candidate who is committed to the success of our students and our community.
Thank you. Mr. Robles, your closing remarks. Reminder, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. So before closing, I want to thank you all for being here. I appreciate the opportunity to be able to speak to the community. It's so great to be able to have all this community involvement in CISD because it's such a great school and it's my home. I also do want to highlight Mrs. Renee Smith-Faulkner, who's been with the district for over 30 years, and I see Miss Leanne Turner out there as well, and Mr. Lenny Lasher, I see you there as well. Y'all were all there when I was in kindergarten, and now here I am, I graduated from Castleberry, graduated from A&M, and now being able to give back to the community. It's a full circle moment, and I'm so excited to be able to give back. It's great. I remember y'all at band concerts, football, whatever that may be, whatever events it was, y'all were always supporting it, and y'all helped grow me into the community leader that I am today. As a proud graduate, I've seen firsthand what happens when students are believed in, they're given the support, and they're given the access, and they're challenged. Success doesn't just happen by chance. It just doesn't. It's by design. These leaders are impacting our students, quite frankly, every day, whether they're coming up with different curriculum or they're supporting our students through the ACE program, as Mrs. Carrell mentioned. There's so many opportunities that our students continue to grow. I bring experience from so many different levels of leadership, from managing literally 200, 300 member teams to being on the executive team of a nonprofit, working directly with community leaders in our North Texas area. I live by my core values, which are instilled at me from A&M, which is respect, excellence, loyalty, leadership, integrity, and selfless service. And I truly do live by that, right? They're not just words. They're something I live by on the day-to-day. Public education is something that means a lot to me. I've seen what it's done for myself. I've seen what it's done for others. I refuse to stand by and I refuse to stand still while our students are facing obstacles that we can challenge and we can continue to, our educators are experiencing burdens that we can help lift. I'm not here to sit in just for a seat, quite frankly. I mean, I love our community and I want to give back. I'm here to do the work and be an advocate for our community. That's what I am. I want to be an advocate and I want to continue to advocate for public education at all levels in the community. So the last thing I want to really just leave y'all off with is student outcomes aren't going to change until adult behaviors do. We need to continue to drive success. We need to continue to get behind our public educators. We need to continue to support our Board of Education and our district executive leadership. Thank you so much, and thanks for having me here. Go Lions, get gum, and go Frogs.
Okay, I'd like to close this forum by thanking all of the candidates for their participation in tonight's forum. And for having an interest in serving our community. Please remember, early voting begins Tuesday, April 22nd. Election Day is Saturday, May 3rd. Thank you, and have a good night.